So last week we got a demo from Mike about robots.txt file SEO extensions. Today, 6/20/2023, do we have demos? 1, 2, 3. So we have the picks.
Hey, I want to talk about one thing, searching.
One thing. Status. Based on the two picks and the demos, we should have a short meeting so we get the longer lunch. It's awesome. Thank you. This one. Just saying, usually on Tuesdays, when it's cut short, I get to watch more soccer, but today I may get to get more lunch. Really, nothing here. We reviewed some PRs on Thursday. This was merged. Some localization issues with some parts because it's using the part name, which was where I think on a mess. This one was merged this week. So to improve performance, start hashing the feature set bitrate, and to do that they were computing a cache key by joining strings, getting the bytes, and then getting the MD5 hash of that. That will be the cache key. But this hash provider here can be reused. It's not quite safe. So they added a lot on the hash provider. I was only suggesting to just use a custom hash instance every time it's used. They prefer to put a lock on that, which is fine. Then offshoot clone, what do we have since when? 13. I was confused by this. Have some changes. I will have some changes. 13. What do we have? This one. Attachment. So because maybe we reviewed some PRs from the meeting, attachment and accounting, creating the shapes. We said it was fine. So we saw that last week during the meeting. Add settings to try robots.txt without from settings. New feature. Well, new feature. Is it a new feature?
No, it's part of the SEO feature.
Okay. So it's part of the existing feature, but there is a new feature, no screens at least, not a new feature per se, but new things, new stuff. So now you can manage your SEO. Oh, we got a demo last week also. Yeah, we got a demo and we approved and we said the feedback, so we know about that. So you can build your robots.txt files dynamically with custom providers. iRobots provider. So there is one for sitemap, there is one for config, and then you can add more like no index, no whatever, automatically. Well, this one actually is a checkbox, I believe. So yeah. Auto-updated versions. We skip the 6th, or maybe they skip one. I believe so. Fixed issue while upload progress bar and more messages, blah, blah, blah. Long time PR, that was improved and merged. I like it. Probably some feedback we gave when you want to use some localization, some localized string in JavaScript, then you put it in a hidden input using the add tip. this way you can't inject JavaScript encoded using localizations. Beautiful. Support loading the username or email address for OpenID. That's the old code.
That same code is encapsulated in the get user async method now. And we use it in multiple places now. Like such an OpenID, when someone's trying to log in, we allow them to log in the same as they would log in using the UI.
I will not have done it without maybe something that was done. So that's good. Issue being that at some point we had lots of discussion about using address, username, user ID, and it's a potential security issue that because you can impersonate people by using a username which is an email, or an email which is a username, so that it will find your account instead of the other.
Yeah, I thought about also making it as a setting, so if someone wants to say allow both, or just allow username, or just allow email. So it's
but Kevin knows about all these discrepancies and risks. So if he says it's fine, it's fine. Okay, good. Good. Where was I? Here. Liquid teams shouldn't also support from the CUI IP theory, and he said, yes, okay, let's remove that because these ones actually don't use the Razor files. So this is just that a team can have both liquid and Razor files, but in this case, because they don't have Razor files at all, you can remove that. Like changing some Facebook text into meta when we can so separating meta core components. I'm sure. Like whenever I read that, I mean, I don't know it's the meta companion, like a meta core component. That sounds cool. Oh, it's the company meta. Okay.
You can argue the meta name with Facebook.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't know about their name, but another thing this one adds is ability to enable integration with Meta Pixel or
Yeah,
Facebook Pixel. Yep.
that was also interesting. So there is the Google Analytics here, and there is the Facebook Pixel, which is the equivalent for Facebook. And I mentioned in the last 2 hours that will allow people to track whatever sites you go on and show you ads when you go on Facebook because you went to a website. I'm like, what? How do they know? Well, I know how they know that they have their own thing, which makes sense. Facebook Pixel, I didn't know. Pixel ID, I didn't know actually about the name of this thing. I knew about Google Analytics, but I didn't know about Pixel ID. Tenant validator test phase intermittently. And this is fixing the test. Can get shared by case insensitive name. Can get shared by case insensitive name URL prefix. So it's setting the URL prefix now. Why is it intermittent? Fix ToByteArray test. How did it work before? So confused. That's so weird. Demo video for two-factor authentication. Awesome. Adding the demo to the list of videos. Pick some button type for ComingSoon theme. Okay. Antoine, ça peut être mieux consultant? Maybe not. Antoine updating OpenIddict, MailKit, and MimeKit. Web. Now it's media much with dark theme colors. Oh, updating the theme to support the media color in this tree. Interesting. Thank you, Magnus. All done. Ongoing questions. It's a topic. My one thing. So said search whatever, search what.
Yeah, I actually have I opened an issue. So right now, today, the admin UI allows us to search by anything that's found in the title. That second issue, that's what you're going after. So what if we want to be able to search by a content item, but we don't really want that searchable text in the title? For example, if you have a product and let's say you have a serial number, or you have anything, right? Anything about a content item that you want to make searchable, but you don't really want to have to force yourself putting in the display text. Like today, the only way to make it searchable is by putting like the serial number in the title, which is something, yeah.
That's right. So let me understand. When searching for contents, where?
In the admin UI.
In the where in the admin? Where is this text box?
In the list of content items.
Okay, so in the content items feature, in the list, you can search for content item.
Correct.
Okay, and we have a text box, and it's to filter the content items. Is it also used when there is a content item picker?
I believe so, yes. It's the same thing, same logic. We search by that same field.
Okay. So I also get something. I don't remember how it's done, but I will suggest something is that we create a service that is called iAdmin content item search. Something like that. Okay, that takes a string or the text that the user typed and returns content item IDs or content items. It's better if it's content item IDs because then we can decide to load them after, we can preload them. And then the current implementation, the default implementation will do what is currently done using a SQL query to look for the display text. Because I believe that's what it's done, because that's completely agnostic from other features. Then we can have other implementations, for instance, using Lucene, that would allow you to pick up an index to do that, or do something else, like add more properties, do custom queries. It will be up to you to create your own query. Like it could be even a custom query actually that takes a text and then you look into property or whatever. So this way it's extensible and we can provide an implementation for Lucene, for Elasticsearch, for whatever we want. And with people
yes, I actually thought exactly about the same exact thing. The only thing that it's gonna what's on my mind. So today we have more than just a text. We parse whatever in the string. So it could be filtered by status or filtered by anything, right? Because we take that string and we parse it just like GitHub.
Oh, one second.
And we extract it.
So that's not doing what you say it's doing.
Well, it is. It's part of it. DisplayText is part of it. It's part of the finished query because you might be filtering by a content type or content type and owned by ID, like owner ID. So there's there's more than just a text search. If it was a text search, it would have been probably easier. But in this case, we're searching for more than one thing, and we have an interface where others can provide their own filters. But at the end of the day, we're utilizing the content item index to query by that matching text.
Contents admin list query service. Is that it?
Yeah, that allows you to implement more filters, custom filters if you want. It's iContent admin list filters. That's the input. Well, that's the interface to implement filters. Yeah, if you look at that default contents admin list filter provider, you will see how we're using or utilizing that text search.
Right.
Content, default content, contents, admin list filter. Yep, that one. It's in the chat. Yep, there. Yeah, if you scroll all the way down.
Okay, I remember.
Yeah, if you scroll down to line like 280 or 270, you'll see that filter all the way down. Yeah, right there. So you see, we take that text after it's being parsed, and then we query using the contain and the display text.
What if you create a provider that does the same thing with default term text, but change that to such another field?
Like generate that query and that value and pass that query and the value to another provider and let
No,
other
I mean,
implementation.
so this is one provider. So I assume you can have multiple providers. Let's see. It's ABC. So you see it's resolving all the providers that were registered. And for each provider, it's creating the query engine builder. So you can provide another one. In this case, this one says, oh, when you find status, then look at these statuses. When you find sort, then look at this sort order. When you find text or nothing, because it's a default term, that's how it works, is name term or is default term. So if you just type something and you don't provide which field it is, like text, when you say sort, it says, okay, sort is sort, stereotype is stereotype. But if you don't provide anything, I will assume it's called text. Okay. And in this case, it says, okay, the text that was passed, look for build this query. So I believe that if you say again with default term text, then you can override this condition and put your own condition, like searching something else or some other parts. Or if you want to be specific for a specific like serial, you could say with name term serial or description, and then pass some text. That might be even more.
Yeah, correct. That would work, but then you would have to let the user say serial. Yeah,
I understand. So that can be super useful for some users, like, oh, let me search for a serial number, and then they can type serial, whatever. But if you want to search for the default text, then you can call that and then contribute to the query to add something else, like a part or something. So you might be able to say where text with content item index display text that, and do an or condition and say with content item index or the part index and another field and say that thing. So it will search in the display text and also in another table. So I think you should try that to see if you can add your custom filter provider that will just call that again and change that.
Yeah, I'll definitely give that a try.
And then the library that is used is part of YesSQL now because Lynn created this thing and added it to YesSQL such that it will convert a specific query language like GitHub that is configurable like this to a SQL query for YesSQL. And now I'm wondering,
I'm just trying to think which with the default term, if I implement my own filter, will my filter override the default one? Because
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge I had. I've tried this a while ago, and it's been a while, so I don't remember exact details. But I remember trying to override that value somehow. If I recall correctly, what happened is that because you have more than one provider, so that condition display text will always get executed, I think, will get always applied. So you can't really remove it from the pipeline.
I'm not sure. From what I see, worst case, you fix it there. Like if you say set term parser on the name thing that is well known, then replace it. Default term engine with the oh boy. This is meta. It's building the parser dynamically. I mean, Parlot, this is purely Parlot code that lets you build the parser dynamically. But the API that is exposed by the filter is to teach how to understand it's to build. It's like a wrapper around the dynamic parser, but instead of exposing the parser, it's exposing it in terms of, oh, find some name property and so on. That's great. Parser equals term parser or default parser. Yeah, it might not replace it. That's interesting. But it might actually. Because what's important here is the action. And the action is called again. So I don't know, you need to try it to add it to your issue if you think it doesn't work because you can't replace it. And then otherwise, change these things so that you can override default one. Okay, earlier. This one. Oh, this one.
Just another thought. What if we create on that index, the content item index, we create another property that supports full text instead of the display?
Oh,
It's let me just kind of run it through. So if we do that, we can actually say which field we want to allow searching by, and those fields will automatically get added to that one column. I think the only thing is just it creates a big, more data. But if you have one column with all the searchable data you want, and that's configurable, by default, we dump the display text in it. And then after that, you have one column. It's is indexed correctly for searching.
but
So it can
then
things, yeah, go ahead.
so there are issues with that, like if you change anything on a content item, the part, whatever, it will have to reload everything again to rebuild this text field for every content item.
I mean, it's just like any other index. Whenever you publish a content item, we index it, right? So it's the same exact thing.
It's but when we index, like for instance with Lucene, it's a different process. It's a background process that will update the index. Here, it's that update the Lucene index. Here, it will be part of the SQL index. So if you touch a content item, it will have to load everything.
Well, it has to do that anyway today with the content item index. Yeah, because if you change that, if you change the title or anything about the content item, yeah.
No, the title, not anything about the content item index. Like if you change a part, it doesn't reproduce this content item index. This index here is changed when you change the content item itself. The properties of the whatever, display text or whatever.
Yeah.
Not when you change a part or a field or whatever.
Well, it still creates, like if it's versionable, it creates a new version.
Mm-hmm.
So it always adds a new record, right?
Of this thing, so not of the part.
Even if you have a new, well, I mean, if you have a content item and you update a part on that content item. Oh, you mean like if someone changed the configuration, you mean?
No, if someone changes the content of a part, we would have to reload every other single part memory to build the content item index field with everything that can go inside.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So if someone changes the settings, say, hey, I want to include this new field in my index, we would have to go and rebuild all the stuff that we already have.
That captured. Also, and this is something we do with Lucene, like you can change the index, but it will process it in the background. Like, okay, I will take time 10 by 10, reprocess every content item and know what is needed to update the Lucene index. That is a background task. But here, the SQL index, they are not background tasks. They are in-flight tasks. Like if you change something, it will have to load everything just because you might want to add it to the index field. And when we build a SQL index, we say, when you change this part, update this index. When you change this thing, update this index. So it's very specific. So that's one issue. Another issue we have with SQL is that what you put it in a blob. So while that can increase the size of the index, but it will store everything because it's in a blob. In Lucene, you can say that I want to be able to search the thing, but don't store the thing. So the index will be very short. Like if you use the same word again and again and again, it will use just the word once in the database. In SQL, no, it will copy the blob again and again and again for everything. So it's not adapted for that. Or you need a custom colon that is like the searchable colon in SQL Server, in PostgreSQL, in SQLite, and it's custom again. It's no more like standard SQL. And
So
then
probably.
So yes, SQL will have to be changed to support searchable things because also the language to search there is different for each database when they support that. I believe now every database support indexed columns, even SQLite recently, but no, that's more complex than that.
So I mean, if another thing, just another thought, if we replace that default content item, replace the whole thing completely, and instead of applying those filters on SQL Server, we can apply those to a Lucene index, and then apply that logic, and then bring back content item IDs.
You won't be able to do that here, maybe, because this library, I believe, and that's why it's in SQL, links the language and the fact that it will be converted to SQL. Because it will convert everything you describe here into SQL. It won't convert it into an abstract representation that you can then understand in Lucene, because the sort, then you will have to apply a sort in Lucene. It's an abstract language, but it's for a SQL in this case. What you could do otherwise is not support this, like say, no, I don't want iContents admin list filter anymore. Well, you can do that, but instead of in the admin of using this one, you could have another abstraction that is iContent search. The default implementation could use this language and SQL and whatever. Another implementation could use just Lucene, and you type the Lucene query in the thing, just some text, just whatever you want to target an index. So just add another abstraction above that, just to say that I don't want to use the list provider at all. I want to use just Lucene. That's the first option. The second option would be you could add Lucene here.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Maybe on line 268, instead of hard coding contains for the display text, we can fire off another provider exactly for text only. So, and then that way anybody wants.
Yeah, what I mean is that here you could say, let's do a Lucene query to get the content items. And instead of saying with content item index, you can say with ID and the result from the Lucene. So you can filter by what Lucene gave you and not by what the text is.
Yeah, but then, well, I see what you're saying, but then we would have to basically, before we even display anything, we have to query this,
Yes.
And it could return a lot of IDs, and if you put a lot of IDs in the end,
you can limit it, but I don't know.
I mean, like, okay, what's the downside if right there, with many, we fire another event handler and we say, anybody that wants to, hook into the query here at this point, because we're doing a search, a wild search, you can, and we're going to use OR. So if you have more than one property, we're just going to apply OR to combine the.
So I'd rather have you try let's try again to call with default term. And if it doesn't work, let's change the library such that you can override the default term, because that will be better to stay in SQL mode and to be able to add more things to the current query.
Okay.
And if you can't override one, I think that's something we should add to the library here, that you can replace whatever you said before, or add more conditions. You can probably do that, like call again with default term and many conditions and add something else to another field, to do another field for the default term, and also obviously to be able to add more terms from other providers, like serial, like description, whatever, if you want to use
to allow you to use more than the same key, use
Yeah,
it multiple
yeah.
times.
And maybe you can actually call with default term description, and maybe I don't know how the library works, but maybe it will actually work. Maybe it will do one condition on this one and then another condition on the other one. If you don't type text or description, maybe it will actually apply the two conditions and search in both with an OR. So just try that. Just try to see how it works. I don't know. I will stay in the SQL realm though.
Yeah.
That'd be better. And in case you really want a custom thing that searches in custom fields, you can create a custom SQL index that will have the properties you want to search on, and then add a custom replace the default completely that will look into your own table and not content item index, but your own magical content item index that will have the fields that you want or single field, whatever you want. And so that's why you need to be able to replace that so you can change where it's
and you also need a way to be able to say, use and logic or logic, right? Because
that's why
like
replacing would be better.
Yeah. All right, I'll give it a go again and see if I can come up with something. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, let's go have lunch and dinner. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. See you.
Oh, wait. Thursday, no meeting. I'm traveling, and I'm going to France. So next week, tentative meeting. I don't know my schedule yet next week. I will send you a text on detail. Let you know for next week. Okay, thank you. See you next week.
All right. See you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye, man.